So, you know, we're number one in a whole bunch of really nasty things, in large part because of this weird ideology that has infected the Republican Party and infected much of America's body politic. And this weird ideology is that if people pursue their own selfish goals and nothing else, forget about the public good, forget about the common good, forget about the government doing anything, do away with Social Security, do away with Medicare, do away with unemployment insurance, do away with environmental standards, do away with the EPA, do away with public schools. These are all positions that the Libertarian Party holds, and holds strongly, and that have crept into, infected or taken over large parts of, if not most of, the Republican Party. Although the Republican Party was very much not in this place as recently as the Nixon administration. But it has been in this place ever since 1980, ever since the Reagan Revolution. And this is an ideology that every time it's tested, that if you simply get rid of all this government stuff and everybody maximizes their selfish behavior, then somehow everybody's selfishness is going to cause society to move in a positive direction, an altruistic, egalitarian, positive direction, and all things, all needs will be met. The marketplace will solve everything. I mean, this should be in a leather-bound book, you know, with gold gilt on the outside and a little, you know, cloth strip coming through it like a Bible, because it's a religion. There is no truth to it. It is a fantasy. It's as real as a Bronze Age sky god. It's as real as Thor and Odin. Hopefully, I'm not committing blasphemy here, but I mean, it doesn't work. It was a nice idea, you know, Hayek and Mises and Milton Friedman and whatnot. Hey, you know, what if we just ran everything like a marketplace? In fact, what if the marketplace ran everything? What if instead of trying to sit down and figure out what's best for the country, you know, the way that they did back in 1787 when they got together and wrote the Constitution, what if instead of doing that, you simply turned everything over to the billionaires and the marketplace? Let them run it. They know what's best. We have been moving in this direction. One of the clear evidences of moving in this direction is the massive consolidation of corporate power in America and billionaire power in America. And what is the result? Massive inequality. Crime in our not just in our inner cities, but also in poor rural areas. Different kinds of crime, typically more self-destructive crime in the rural areas, more drug addiction and deaths from heroin overdoses and things. But it's you know, people are in despair. People taking antidepressants. People because of these economic policies. And somebody needs to stand up and say, it's a friggin' religion that these guys are peddling. This libertarian fantasy, this BS that Gary Johnson and Bill Weld are out peddling, that Paul Ryan is trying to sell to us. Mitch McConnell doesn't even pretend to believe this stuff. He just, well, I'm Mitch McConnell, and I'm going to just block this legislation. That's all we're going to do. President Obama is going to be a one-term president, and he's going to have no legacy at all. I mean, that... At least McConnell is an unabashed partisan fool. But the rest of them, I mean, these true believers, or at least, you know, I think probably Ryan started out as a true believer. By this point in time, he's got it's quite obvious that he meets the description of, you know he's lying because his lips are moving, right? Oh, no, I don't want to throw grandma off the cliff. We just want to voucherize Medicare so that the CEOs of the big health insurance companies can make a few more $1 million and pass some of that my way in campaign contributions. And it's really that naked. It really is. When Jimmy Carter was on this program and he said we no longer have an American democracy, he said Citizens United has created an oligarchy with unlimited political bribery, he was right. And it's because we have tried a political ideology. Now, they tried a political ideology in the Soviet Union back in, what, 1918, the Soviet Revolution? And, you know, it seemed to work for a while, sort of, depending on your metric, and then it ultimately didn't work. It was an economic model. The Chinese then took that economic model and made their own version of it, tossed in a little Confucianism and a little, you know, empire and all that kind of stuff. And now they've tossed capitalism into the mix in the last 30 years, but it's state-run capitalism, which is very difficult for us to compete with, because there actually is a power to a state. Now, I'm not saying that we should try to imitate what China's doing at all, but we're not going to beat them at their game. I mean, we're not even set up to. They're eating our lunch. Because we're still, you know, holding to this ideology that government can't do anything. And the Chinese are smart enough to know that government can do a hell of a lot. So how do we get past this? How do we get our corporate media to talk about the details? You know, that the Republicans blocked a veterans bill, that to this day, long-term unemployment insurance is, you know, it runs out at the end of a year, that because Republicans blocked an extension of it, you know, I mean, it just goes on and on. I think, you know, we need to be telling each other. We need to be informing each other. We need to be telling our neighbors. This needs to be part of our get out the vote effort. It needs to be part of our you know, getting progressives elected to office work. And it's work. We've got, you know, a world to save as well as a country to save. The fascist ideology that they tried in Italy, Germany, and Spain didn't work. Communism didn't work. We've got this kind of middle ground that actually at one time did work.
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann program. Call 202-808-9925.
And it's very simply highly regulated capitalism in a democratic republic. Let's go back to it.